The guy she tells you not to worry about. I, 32, abandoned my girlfriend, 27, in the city after she repeatedly broke my trust. Counting this relationship, my last 3 relationships have ended in me being cheated on. We had been together 8 months and had been planning a trip to a convention together. Shortly before the trip, she excitedly told me that she made a new friend who was giving us free tickets to the convention. Then things kept snowballing from there. She admitted having flirted with this guy by accident and asked me if she should feel bad. I asked her if he knew she had a boyfriend, and her response was no. It felt weird to bring up. And I've learned people are less likely to give you free stuff if you tell them you're in a relationship already. I told her this made me feel uncomfortable, and I didn't think it was outrageous of me to ask her to be careful with her actions and words around this guy. She knew I had been cheated on previously, and it had destroyed my mental health. She had told me that she had cheated in a previous relationship when she was young and in a bad place, but that she wasn't like that anymore. She seemed to understand my reservations about this guy that she couldn't help laying out in front of me. At the time, I hoped it was just her being transparent. So we finally get to the day of the convention, and she makes a beeline to her new friend and spends 90% of her time by his side. I see whispering together and shoulder rubs and giggling and all kinds of things that make me uncomfortable, but I keep it to myself until we're alone. At one point, I tried to go hold her hand, something we like to do often, and she pushed it away and said, "Not right now. I'm stressed," while going on to continue laughing in conversation with this other guy. At the end of the day, we're alone, and I say, "Look, I really don't like how I'm being ignored for this guy you just met. I feel like you're crossing boundaries here that hurt me a lot, and I just want to reassert that this hurts me and give you a chance to stop. I don't like this guy, and I don't like the extra attention you're giving him." Her responses were, "I'm not cheating on you. You can be his friend too. Just try to talk more to him. And I feel like you're targeting how I'm treating a friend because you've been cheated on before." I held firm. I don't like it, and I hope you take my feelings here seriously. Early next morning, she picked up her phone and was typing away. I pretending to keep my eyes closed and sleep, but I could see she was texting this guy, saying how we had a fight. She felt stressed, worthless, scared. Meanwhile, the guy fed her positive affirmations about how special she was and how he liked her. My stomach kept sinking the more I caught out of the corner of my half-closed eyes until I had enough. I said good morning, and she rolled over on her side to face the phone away and started talking about how she was texting her coworkers. I gave her a weird look, and she said, "My back hurts. You think I'm trying to hide something because I wanted to roll over to where my back was comfortable? You were texting his name." "No, I wasn't. I just told you who I was texting. You're targeting me again." My eyes widened. I sat up and cast a 1,000-mile stare through the wall ahead of me. "Why would you lie about that? I was watching you texting him." She had a small mental breakdown and began begging with me. "I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. I felt like you were targeting me with him. He's just a friend, and I don't want you to think anything else." Still, we made up and went back to the convention, where she again made a beeline for this guy and wandered around buying him things. At the end of the day, I told her I was going back to the hotel room, and she said she was going to go out with the guy for drinks and I was welcome to come along, and that she might stay at his hotel room. I said, "Nah, I'm good, goodbye." That goodbye was the last time I saw her. I went and packed my stuff and drove back home several hours away. At 5 a.m. in the morning, she realized I had left and called me, freaking out that I abandoned her. I told her to enjoy the rest of her trip, but there was nothing else in it for me, and that all her stuff was still in the room her ex-boyfriend, me, had paid for. I also told her if she critically needed a ride home, I'd pick her up, not as her boyfriend, but only out of necessity. Her new friend would likely be able to drive her anyway. Here she bashed me for abandoning my girlfriend with no place to go. I listened to a lot of crying and begging but held firm. I've seen this story play out several times before. I no longer cared. It's hard to describe how I feel now. It's very hard to trust people without expecting hidden motives or something beyond my vision happening that would hurt me. I feel like I was right in finally putting my foot down, and every close friend I talked to about this told me I did the right thing and shouldn't have put up with that activity. But still, sometimes I have nagging questions about if I overreacted or if I was too sensitive. Like, if there's some way I could have done better, if I was an asshole somehow, let me know, right? I like reading these stories because seeing what other people have gone through gives me clarity during the times I was recovering after being cheated on. Hopefully this story can do the same for someone. Tildar, ex-girlfriend, repeatedly ignored my feelings about how she was treating a new guy friend, and I finally gave up on the relationship.
Cheating ex-boyfriend. I, 22 female, have an ex-boyfriend, 23 male. For some context, I have known this man since I was 12 and have been in love with him since. In the beginning I knew he didn't like me back, but I was 12, 2 more years into liking him he dated my best friend. That's another story. Nevertheless, after years of friendship and catching up with him my senior year of high school, we started dating. In the beginning it was good and normal until 5 months and he stopped talking to me. Like dead silence. After 7 months, yeah I know, but that's how long it took for him to actually call me. We spoke and dummy me decided to continue my relationship with him. That only lasted for 2 months. Fast forward to now, I've started talking to him again and he stated that he just got out of a relationship with the girl he started dating after me. For more context, I'm pretty sure he started speaking or dating this girl around the same time we decided to continue our relationship. So since we've started speaking again, we also decided to become friends with benefits. Everything has been relatively fine until Christmas. During the holiday, my best friend saw him and his supposed ex together Christmas shopping. Please note that I had no intention on getting back with or was starting to have feelings for him again. He hasn't changed too much since our relationship, so I wasn't interested in being in one with him. However, I'm pissed. He used me to cheat on his girlfriend while she was at school. After all the time and love I've invested into him, I now see that he doesn't care about me. I've decided that I will let his girlfriend know that she is being cheated on because I don't believe he deserves to be in a happy relationship. However, I'm not sure how I want to do it. I don't know if I should confront him first and then tell her or simply just DM her and block him. I would like to confront him to give him a piece of my mind because I never get my last word in and I refuse to go unheard.
I got cheated, but I expected it. I, 26M, was dating a girl, 25F, from my university. At first she was caring and loving and it all went great during 6 months in the relationship until my finals showed up. That's when everything went to shit. Having my finals meant spending more time studying and preparing myself in certain classes that I was having a tough time in, and with the more time I spend studying, I spent less time with her. At first, when I had that talk with her, she seemed to understand, considering I'm pursuing a chemistry engineering major while she's aiming for a hospitality management degree, and according to her, she was going after a much easier degree and she didn't mind. So we stopped seeing for about a week and a half. We would text occasionally during that time, but not as much as we used to. One night that I was finishing up some work that I needed to get done, she texted me talking about this one friend she had. For privacy, I'll call him Brian. Brian, according to her, is a good friend and generally a good guy. He's pretty much of an extrovert with a wide social circle, while I'm the total opposite, being an introvert with a very closed social group of people who I call friends, and the rest of people I know are mere acquaintances. After my finals, we spend more time together, but it was always Brian this, Brian that. So at first it was weird, but it got to the point that I was fed up. So one day as a joke I said, "What, do you want to date him, or why are you always talking about him?" You can guess she didn't take it as a joke, and instead she acted offended, even implying that I was accusing her of cheating. That's when all the dots started to connect. If there isn't something going on, then why was she suddenly all defensive and upset? But I guess I decided to wait to get actual proof. Week after week she would cancel the plans at the last minute. If I was lucky, she stood me up in my birthday since we were supposed to meet at a restaurant along with my dad to celebrate. Even my roommate at the time asked me if I was okay. She saw me upset a lot of those times and even talked to me. After a few months, one day I told my ex to meet at a coffee shop. Prior to that, during the whole week I behaved like an asshole. I was already mentally preparing myself to pull away from that relationship. When she got to the coffee shop, she tried to give me a kiss, but I just pulled away. She asked what was wrong and I just said, "I already know." It was thing my dad would always say to me when I was hiding something, and it worked well to make people say the truth. As soon as I said, "I already know," and she saw my face dead serious, she looked down and said, "Who told you? Was it Kev?" Kev is my closest friend, and even if he did tell me, I would basically ignore it. So I just said, "Maybe, but I want to hear it from you." And she just started crying and saying how much she was sorry, that she didn't mean to hurt me, and that she had only been seeing Brian for 2 months. I wanted to cry, to yell at her, to be angry. But I couldn't. It's a truth I was already aware of. So I just asked, "How did this happen?" And her story went like, "We were at a party from one of our mutual friends when you had finals, and I was pretty upset because you didn't pay attention to me. So when Brian saw me upset, he talked with me and he made me feel safe and loved. Even if you did make me feel safe and loved, it was different and I liked it. After that we hooked up and later we began seeing each other every weekend. When she said those things, it felt like if someone had punched me in the stomach. I felt sick. She tried to apologize and she said that we could still make it work, but I've already knew that it was not possible, so I told her to enjoy the last coffee she was going to share with me because it was the last. I paid for both the coffees and I left, not saying goodbye. That night I called my dad and talked about it with him. I never asked my dad for any advice in this situation, but he just told me that what's not meant to be will never be and that it was best to not try to store any negative feelings against her or the guy. So he just quoted his favorite artist saying, "How beautiful is revenge when God grants it to us." Recently, one of her friends told me that she ended up getting pregnant from Brian with him refusing to take responsibility from the kid. And she told me that I should be careful since my ex was telling her parents that it was my kid even though we broke up more than a year ago. Right now I decided to just go with the flow of life. It took me a while to get over it, but I made it. And well, now I'm dating my former roommate, which is kinda funny.
I found condoms in my husband's truck on Christmas. My husband and I were about to have sex and he said wait and walked outside to his truck and came back. I said, "What are you doing?" He said he picked up some condoms. "We have never used condoms." I asked why and he said, "Because I thought you weren't taking your birth control." I said, "No, I'm taking it now." In his defense, last time we had sex I told him to pull out because I missed a few days of taking my birth control. We had sex and I didn't think anything of it until the next day. I thought if he bought condoms for us, why wouldn't he bring them inside with the rest of the groceries? Why would he leave them in his truck? Side note, he works in a different state and is gone 9 to 14 days straight. I asked him, "Why didn't you bring the condoms inside?" He said, "Because I would have said something about it." It was still bothering me that he just had one single condom. So I asked him to go get them from his truck. He came back with 3 condoms attached. I asked him where's the box they came in. He said he threw it away. I asked him where he threw them away. He said at the store. I told him that doesn't make sense. How many were in the box you bought? He looked at my hand that was holding the 3 condoms and said, 4. I looked it up, they don't sell condoms in 4. Long story short, I asked him to open his truck. We both went to his truck. First he opened the center console and I noticed instead of picking up the papers that were in there he just patted them and then closed it. We both went to open the glove box. There were more condoms in there. I was so pissed, I don't know what I said, but we both walked back into the house. I set the 7 Trojan yellow wrapper, 2 Trojan purple wrapper, 1 Trojan pink wrapper condoms on the table. I asked him for the keys to his truck, he gave them to me, and when I opened the center console under the papers there was an open 3-pack Magnum box with only 2 condoms in there. I told him, "I want you out." It was Christmas Day and we have a 4-year-old and an 18-month-old together. I did not kick him out that day. We did not say one word to each other for the rest of the day. The next day I asked him, "When are you going to leave?" and he said he didn't want to. I told him he's a liar and a cheater. The expiration date on the condoms 2028, 2025 and 2026 for different brands with 5 different lot numbers. He's trying to say that he got them for us and maybe when he threw the box away at the store some fell out. Then he tried saying he gave some out. He's a liar and a cheater. I never thought he would fuck someone else. I feel so hurt. He left the house, but he's making me feel like I'm crazy and overreacting. I need some advice. Holy shit, God, I'm so stupid. I just realized I gave birth to our son in June 2022. 3 months after giving birth I got the Nexplanon implant in my arm. It wasn't until August 2023 I switched to birth control pills. So no fucking reason to buy condoms at all. He's a piece of shit. I was just starting to be okay and not cry all fucking day. Now I just poured salt in my wound and I'm mad crying. This is what he sent. I have never cheated on you. I have bought condoms at different times because you are always on and off your birth control. I've even asked you if I should get condoms because you complain about your birth control, and the last time I got you Plan B you said you didn't want to take that anymore. I've bought condoms that don't get used, and because they sit in my truck, I buy new ones. Some of the younger single guys that I've worked with that go out after work, I've told them that I have condoms in my truck if they need some. I didn't lie to you, and I know how it sounds, but that is the truth. I work 12 to 14 hours a day, get off work and cook for everyone in the Airbnb and FaceTime you and the kids before/after I've had a shower. By then it's late and I need to get to bed for work the next day. What I sent. You buy multiple packs of condoms, some from a while ago and some very recent, that we have never used, and keep them in your truck. We don't fuck in your truck, why wouldn't they be at the house? You are a liar, and a bad one at that. Good Samaritan, cheater's name, over here buying condoms that he doesn't use with his wife and gives them out to his friends. Then goes and buys more to again not use with his wife, but maybe they fell out of the box that you threw away at Walmart, right? Thanks for breaking up this family.